So the other day I got into a back and forth on essentially what it means to be pro-black. And I feel like everyone nowadays has such a different definition as to what that means. And since I keep finding myself in arguments with people when I'm talking about it, it's clear that at least how I perceive it is just so far off and in a different universe. Now, how I've observed being pro-black is if you co-sign to everything that the vast majority of black people agree with, right? Is the white man is racist and white people account for all of the bad that has happened in our lives. And in that you observe a lack of accountability, because very rarely do you hear someone say, well, this issue within our community, it might be our fault, or maybe it was perpetrated by another race, but now we just keep adding on to it because we're not doing anything to change it. We just keep blaming other people for the issues that we have. Now, because issues of race at times can be a bit complicated, explanations as to why things are the way that they are, they're not as cut and dry as it's just solely the white man's fault or it's just solely on us because we're not doing anything. It's a mixture of a lot of things, but it's just easier to put blame on other people because we don't want to acknowledge that, we have contributed to some of the downfalls in this community. Now, if you reinforce the idea that we're at no fault of anything and that everyone else is to blame, well, people tend to accept that. And although I think it's counterproductive, that's just how it is, right? But one thing that I've noticed is that when black people who try to go the opposite route, they try to acknowledge where our shortcomings are and where it is that we falter at, and then they try to do something about it. Typically, people don't listen to them unless they decide to kind of be outlandish with how they get across whatever it is that they want to say. So if someone is trying to convey in a modest manner that maybe we're not doing so well in this area or that area and we need to change something, most people won't pay attention to it. Therefore, nothing ever gets done. And at that point, then they decide to turn it up to 11, as we've seen with a bunch of people, because then that's when everyone wants to listen to them. And not even necessarily to hear what they have to say. Their attention has just been garnered because of how the person is coming off. They're being outlandish. Maybe they're insulting people. Maybe they're being a bit over the top. And then that's when people decide to listen. And it's so funny, the timing of things, because I saw this from Cam Newton's podcast. He's a former NFL quarterback. And he was talking to Charleston White. Now, Charleston White, he's a black man. And, if you know who he is, and you know who he is.
He said, hey, do you like Jews? I heard you don't like Jews. I said, I don't like nobody. Jews, niggas, Asians, blacks, whites, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, dogs, horses, fish, roaches, worms, butterflies, ants. Nigga, I don't like nothing.
If you don't, he's like an internet personality who's extremely outlandish and over the top with how it is that he talks about anything, especially when it comes to black people. But before he became this internet personality, he was like a normal dude who was like going to congressional hearings and talking on the news and going to schools, trying to amplify issues in the black community and then do something about it.
I had a meeting with Deputy Chief Dean, and he instructed us. He said, Charleston, I don't want any hard drugs down there. I want you to tell the old man that I don't want to hear anything about he can't stop it. So I never applied for any federal grant money, right? So I never needed you guys to help me feed children. So when I get a call from Officer Charles Rogers and say, hey, can you help me get some guys that will volunteer to come into the middle school? I'm already know you guys are going to play politics.
Charleston White and Jesse Taylor, who run a local mentoring nonprofit, are amongst those calling foul on Fort Worth ISD.
I done got shot when I was 15. My cousin was murdered all over this rap stuff.
Wondering why the school would bring this person to speak to middle schoolers.
Very distasteful, very extremely distasteful. And someone should be held accountable.
When that was happening, no one was listening. But now that he's put forth this character where he's being over the top and nigga this and nigga that and doing all this crazy stuff, well, now people want to listen. But the funny thing about it is that they're still not listening to what it is that he's saying. They're listening to how he's saying it. And before I get into it, I just want you to watch this because it perfectly sums up this very issue that we currently deal with, which is when someone comes forth and then they try to express all the issues that we have, a lot of it perpetrated by us. We don't want to listen because then that puts the blame on us, right? But then if they start becoming outlandish, well, now we want to pay attention, but we are in our feelings because they said something a certain way or they said a certain word that made us feel bad. It just shows that the focus is off, and this sums it up so perfectly.
See, this is the thing, Charleston. Like, I think everything that you're saying has some truth to it. It's just the delivery. There's no denying that you're standing for and by your people.
Well, here's the thing. When you're addressing evil, you can't worry about the delivery. When you're looking at the conditions of our community, you can't worry about the evil when you got kids that kill kids and say we smoking on Tuka. See, they wasn't worried about the delivery when these kids in Chicago were talking about smoking on Tuka. Mm-hmm. They weren't worried about the delivery. I ain't got no manners for no slut. I'm gonna put my thumb in her butt. The delivery? These niggas talking about killing each other. They really, that nigga Thug said, nigga, I shot at your mama. You don't mention me no more. He really shot that nigga mama. And y'all worried about my delivery? These niggas are confessing to murders on songs. And y'all worried about my delivery? Come on, don't be hypocrites, black people. Y'all can't listen to this music if y'all so caught up in my delivery. Don't do me like that. And the way y'all snap and pop y'all to this music, the way y'all kill and drill to this music, don't trip about my delivery. Hey, yo, Easy, why you wear your pants like that? I wear my pants like that because that's easy access, baby. Easy, why you talk like that? I talk like that to get my point across. Because when I wasn't talking like that, wearing a bow tie, y'all wasn't paying me no attention, and I was going to the Supreme Court changing laws and legislations in this country. Y'all wasn't paying attention then. So, nigga, I gave y'all what y'all want. A ignorant motherfucking nigga that talk like them rappers. Now y'all listening. Now y'all paying attention, huh? I got y'all attention, checkmate. Now let me tell y'all what y'all need to hear. We f***ed up as a race of people since y'all so caught up into my delivery.
I couldn't have said it more perfectly myself. That is like the best explanation for it that I've heard, right? Because in this conversation, this argument about what it really means to be pro-black, it was funny because what it seems like to me, at least the perception that I've gotten from other black people, is if you don't exclusively blame the white man for the issues within our community, well, then you're not pro-black. Or if you're a black man and you date a white woman, you're not pro-black. Or if you're a black person and you are cordial with the white man in any way, shape, or form, you're not pro-black. Or if you're black and you don't get offended by this, you're not pro-black. It's a laundry list of things that makes you not pro-black, but you'll turn around and go buy an album of a rapper who just talked about killing some other dude. I talked about this the last time I was on here, is half these people that we look up to, and a lot of them raise us because the families and the homes are broken, so we look to inspirations to kind of get us through. A lot of them are rappers and entertainers. Like I said, half of them are dead. And who killed them? Right? Somebody who looked like them. So it's wild that you can be disqualified from being pro-black simply because you do not exclusively put blame on white people for the issues within the black community. But you can parade around as pro-black 24/7, 365 if you listen to this dude who just rapped about killing mom or shooting at his mom or killing him, dissing his homies, doing all this stuff like that. And it comes off as lame to talk about this stuff, but how is it cool at all if you promote a culture of degeneracy and the main people who can't afford to eat that stuff up, we do all the time, right? It's not just black people who listen to this stuff and consume this entertainment, so to speak, but clearly we are lacking in a multitude of categories, so we can't afford to be spending $1,400 on some stupid sweater, or we can't afford to be playing with guns like they're toys, because then that's how you get kids getting on Instagram Live and killing themselves on accident. Or that's how you get someone who I graduated with getting popped because he got into some beef with some other dude. Like, this is not a game, right? People who chalk it up to entertainment, and they'll justify it by ostracizing you from being pro-black because you don't look at that stuff and say, that's the white man's fault. How does that make any sense? These are all things that we are contributing to. But it's funny because people will say stuff like this in a civilized manner, and then when no one will listen to them, then they become ignorant, they become outlandish. Now everyone wants to tune in, but the focus is still off. It's how he said it, right? People do that to Candace Owens all the time, right? I've followed Candace Owens for a lot of her career, and seeing her come up, right, especially to now, I talked about it back in June, right? When Juneteenth happened, she tweeted out something. It was real simple. And I'm just paraphrasing. Basically, just Juneteenth is ghetto and made up. Hope everyone enjoys it. That tweet right there, very, very simple. But what it does is it garners attention, right? So anything that she was saying before about how these politicians don't care about Juneteenth as a holiday, they don't really care about the significance of it. It's just to give black people something to be occupied with. They're just throwing you a bone, basically throwing me a bone, saying, you keep asking for help in this area and that area. Here's Juneteenth, now shut the hell up, right? That should hold you over for however long, right? But you say that, and no one will listen to her. But if you put something in a tweet, very, very simple, it's ghetto and made up, hope everyone enjoys it, everyone's going to lose their mind. Oh, my goodness, I can't believe you said it like that. You know, that's so disrespectful, yada, yada, yada. But now she's got you. And she can say whatever it is that she wants to say now, right? What she really wants to say, she now can do that because she has your attention. It's the exact same thing here. And for everyone else who speaks out against the problems in this community, a lot of it perpetrated by us. So it absolutely blows my mind when people look at the state of the black community, especially when black people look at the state of this community. They identify the problems, and then they continuously look to the white man. And I think that, like, my timeline knows it frustrates me because it went in the past 3 days from sports to just all black people blaming white people for everything that's wrong with them or was wrong with their community or their household or their bank account or the world. I literally saw a tweet that said every bad thing that you can think of, you can attribute it to white people. I'm like, to be pro-black nowadays, it just seems like a miserable lifestyle. It does. I'm all for the advancement of black people, but how, in my opinion, feminism has changed, activism has changed, being pro-black, I feel like it's changed, right? It's very rarely, if even at all, an initiative to further the black community. What it seems like is that it's like a protective barrier that gives you immunity to spew your hatred for white people every single day of the week. Now, I'm not ignorant to historical context and issues. I understand that. But I've said it before, you can be a product of your past without being a prisoner. But so many people choose to be locked up in the past and they can't escape it, right? It's always going to be systemic issues. There's always going to be a white person who doesn't like you because of your race. But as I'm looking through my timeline and I'm talking to people in real life, it seems like it's starting to even out, right? Because it seems like for just as many white people that don't like black people, the same amount of black people on the other side, they don't like white people. So it's evening out to the point where it's like, what's the point of even talking about it if you're not looking for solutions to adjust the situation to make it better, right? So that we can kind of move past this hatred stage to actually deal with some of these issues. Because right now, if you look at it, it don't seem like it's helping, right? Like we've been granted immunity to hate white people on every basis known to man. Yet you look up and we still deal with all of these issues. And issues that I've named a million times over, they're still prevalent in this community. So clearly whatever it is that we've been doing hasn't helped because we're still dealing with them. But the one thing that everybody and their mother can control is accountability, because from that you can just identify, okay, what's wrong and is there anything that I can do to change it, right? Not pinning it on anyone else, not saying it's someone else's fault. Is there anything that I can do to change my situation or the situation for this community as a whole? And almost every single time there is. Now, what you do, it might not change everything, right? Because, I mean, it's so much history involved in what it is that we're talking about that has led us up to this point. So it's going to take a lot, but there are things you can do on a personal level to improve your life and then the lives of the other people around you. So next time you identify an issue in the black community, especially if someone is bringing it forth, really pay attention to it, right? Don't just shut it down and then pay attention when they deliver it in an animated way, because at that point, then everyone's just focused on how the delivery makes them feel. There's a certain politician who did the same thing 8 years ago. Everyone else is on that stage give you the same old spiel. I'm going to bring the country together. We're going to stop this terrorist organization. I'm going to raise the minimum wage. We're going to bring all these jobs left, right, and center. All the same stuff that you hear every single election cycle. This dude comes and says, hey, the government's corrupt, and I'm a part of it. No one's listening because, it is what it is, right? You want to know what he does? He says, you look stupid. You don't deserve to be up here. Your wife, she doesn't look good, so you shouldn't be up here either. You're corrupt. You should go to jail. Now, everyone's mad at me, right, because of my delivery, but at least I have their attention now, right? And it might not be the most ideal way to go about it, but at the same time, it works, right? So when all these black people, they come up and they're trying to spit some real game about all the issues that we're dealing with, and no one wants to listen, what other alternative do they have other than being animated or being some ignorant dude who's saying this and that in a specific way that garners your attention? Because now he's got you, and now he can say what he really wants to say. Is that, yeah, we're effed up in a lot of ways, and not everything is the white man's fault. And even if something is, okay, how long are we going to wait for someone to come and clean all this up, right? It's stuff that we can do, right? Unlimited amount of things. You just got to be open to it. So keep that in mind next time you hear about an issue and someone brings it to the forefront. It's just focus on that, because at this point, I don't even know what it means to be pro-black anymore, right? And my definition is, I feel like I just got to throw it out, because at least what I feel like I've seen and what I've experienced, it doesn't run parallel. It's not even close. So progression should be the focus, and all of that other hoopla, it just needs to be done away with, right? It's just stuff that we can do to improve the quality of this community. It's very, very simple. So next time that someone comes out the woodworks and they say, hey, we can do this, that, and the third to fix all these issues, I think it's worth paying attention to, right? Because from the reception that I've seen from everybody, the last thing people want is an ignorant ass nigga coming out here and saying, we got to do this and we got to do that in a certain way, because now everyone's pissed off. So we can avoid that by actually taking accountability and addressing the issues that we have within our community. Seems simple enough, right? But time will tell with stuff like this. So something to think about. Trust and believe. Working through these issues is the best course of action for this community. Simple.